Hello, greetings. So I felt like making this video because of some discussion that has been on the Facebook Gorean community lately, and I felt it is an issue that needed to be addressed. Basically, the issue arose when one of our members came out as a transsexual, and of course, quite a few of the Goreans went ballistic and went into the "That's not on Gore" parade. And I felt like I had to say a few things about it. First of all, that something does not exist on Gore is not really a good argument why something doesn't fit within the Gorean lifestyle. Because it's a fictional planet. What I think a lot of people don't realize is that the Gore books were not written to be the ultimate guide to life. They were written to be fiction. And within that fiction, there are some interesting ideas for how to live a good life. Ideas that some of us take and make a part of our everyday life. However, any lifestyle has to fit life. It has to fit reality. And this is doubly true when you take a lifestyle inspired by fiction. You have to fit then the fiction to real life, not the other way around. But if you are still making the argument that there are no transsexuals on Gore, so obviously they can't be in the lifestyle, let me point out a few other things that are not on Gore. First of all, the computer that you are watching this video on. Yeah, if you were found in possession of that on Gore, you'd be dead. Basically other things, microwaves, phones, about any of the appliances that you use in your everyday life. Are you less of a Gorean because you use these things? Secondly, old people. There are no old people on board. Well, there are a few those that the stabilizer serums doesn't work on, but generally speaking, everybody stops aging in their prime. So, no old people. I hope then that if you say that you cannot accept anything that is not specifically mentioned in the books, that you will stop being a Gorean when you get gray hair. And there's so many things. I mean, yeah. And also what you have to remember here is a world reduction. It says nowhere that absolutely could never be anybody who has a gender identity issue. But they are not mentioned within the books. Let me make an example here. For example, my favorite fantasy series, The Wheel of Time. They asked the author, what would happen if you have basically a mage within that they are extremely powerful that was born with Down syndrome, and he said that that's never going to come up in the series. That is world reduction. Basically, world reduction is when you not to overwhelm your readers with information that isn't important to what you are going to tell. You basically reduce the world down to what you need as a tool to tell the tale. And examples of world reduction within Gore are, for example, that all women are weaker than all men. There are, for example, this scene where you have this huge big Bertha slave. Yeah, and they arm her with a knife as well. And they have this little tiny pipsqueak male slave, and they are pitted against one another. And realistically speaking, Big Bertha would carve Little Pipsqueak a new one. But no, this being Gore, she is of course immediately disarmed, put on the ground, and tied up. This doesn't reflect reality. Yes, men are on average between 10 and 60% stronger than females. However, this is on average. That doesn't mean that, for example, an athletic woman is not stronger than a couch potato man. Other thing that doesn't fit with reality that I mentioned in an earlier video is that on Gore, all the men are huge. And I do mean huge. They are like described like Conan Barbarian huge. And all the women are tiny, 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 tiny. Yeah, that doesn't work like that because over a few generations this evens out. Basically, this is world reduction. And remember, one of the core themes of the Gore books is that basically you have to find your inner nature and live true to that. And of course, every single character within the books, if they're female, their inner nature is to become slaves, and for men, the inner nature is to be dominant. And this follows statistics. It's more women that are submissive than there are men. However, we know there are dominant women and submissive men. What are they then going to do? Within the books, it's very, very easy because everybody fits this mold. Because that's the message the books wants to send. However, these, when we are taking the books and making them into a functional lifestyle for everyday life, we have to look at reality. And you cannot have a lifestyle that says the core tenet, more important than everything else, more important than the honor aspects, more important than the freedom aspects, more important than absolutely every other aspect of the Gorean lifestyle, is to live true to your nature. You not have a lifestyle that sets that as an ideal and then say, you know what, your true nature, it doesn't fit my idea of how Gore should be, so shoo. No. If that's the ideal is to live according to your true nature, then you accept that sometimes somebody's true nature is a bit different. But this is a problem that so many Goreans seem to have. I say, oh no, but if a woman happens to be dominant, she shouldn't be within the Gorean lifestyle. It doesn't fit my idea of it. Or if a man is submissive, I don't know. If somebody has a different gender identity, be gone. And that is so wrong according to the philosophy, because the philosophy says you should live according to your own true nature. If you're supposed to be a lifestyle about living according to your true nature, you have to accept somebody's true nature, even if it's different, because it's your true nature. It's not them being forced into somebody else's. That's one of the core themes of the books. One of the core themes is that within the Western culture, men and women are forced into other roles than their true nature dictates. And this is very true. Many women feel that they are forced to take on a more dominant role, because if not, they are looked down on by their parents. The same with men. Many feel that they are forced from that role they should have and into a more feminine role because of how society works. And the Gore books warn against that. However, then you have the norm of what most people would fit into. That doesn't mean that everybody fits into that. And you can't expect a series of science fiction books to take into account every possible true nature somebody has. It doesn't work like that. So while it's very easy in the Gore books, because all women's true nature is to be submissive and all men's true nature are to be dominant, this isn't so in real life. And when you take a lifestyle, it's a lifestyle. It has to fit real life. We are not talking here about a Gore fandom. trying to imitate Gore on Earth, being mega fans. We're talking about taking the Gore books and turning it into a lifestyle, and then you have to accept life. Now, getting into the transsexual part. There are unfortunately a lot of ignorance when it comes to people who are transsexual. And I think it's in many ways a very difficult concept for many to understand. I mean, transsexuals are even more discriminated against than people who are gay or bisexual because at least people can understand basically Jon loves Olav or Lucy loves Elizabeth, and they might think it's wrong or they might think it's right, but they can understand that, but understand how somebody can be a different gender on the inside than on the outside. That's something that a lot of people struggles with, and especially within such a gender uh, based lifestyle as the Gorean one. I can see how many people have a problem with this, but let me try to explain. Basically, you have your physical gender, but even that is not always as dry cut as your male, your female. I mean, for example, there was this athlete a few years ago who she won about every contest. And then somebody say, look at her body, she's very buff, we have to check if she is male or female. And I think that there was a team of doctors, I think they worked for 3 months, trying to figure out if this person was male or female. And eventually they just went with, okay, she identifies as female, we'll say she's a female. Because you can say it's a scale. I'm sure that some people have heard about the scale when it comes to sexuality, that you have basically straight in one and gay in the other, and then you have a sliding scale between them, and it's not usually as easy as somebody is at that end or that end. You are a little bit more towards straight or a little bit more towards, yeah. You have the same concept within basically gender. You have a lot of gender markers. And it's not as easy as do you have a penis or a vagina. You have a lot of your body chemistry, for example. You can look completely female, you can have female sexual organs and boobs, but you can still have then the body chemistry of a man, for example. You can have a penis, but have every other gender marker be female. It's not as easy as that. Basically, you have a sliding scale, and most of us are towards the edges. We are either then male or female, but there's a lot of people who are on those sliding scales. Now, in addition, you have gender identity. It's basically the gender you feel like. I mean, when I was 3 years old, I realized I was a girl. And lucky me, that realization fits my physical body. And that's gender identity. Of course, I knew before then that they called me girl, and that was different than somebody who were called a boy. But at 3 years old, it hit me that I'm a girl, and I was very happy about that. I'm a girl, yay! That is gender identity. I have a female body, and I identify as female. But for some people, it doesn't work quite like that. Gender identity is also a sliding scale. You have those that identify as female and those that identify as male. And that's basically your heart, your mind, your soul, what you identify is. And that scale doesn't always fit the physical one. So you can have somebody who has a completely physical male body, but who identifies completely as a female. And that means that they are male on the outside but female on the inside. And to just then make fun of those people, send them away, being cruel to them, I don't feel that is right, because then their true nature are female. And especially from a Gorean point of view, they are female. Their internals, basically not their organs, but their hearts, their minds, their souls are then female, or on the other hand, that are male. And here are a few things that transsexuals are not. Crossdressers. Crossdressers and drag queens are people who, for whatever reason, wear the clothes of somebody who is of the opposite gender. Usually they do not identify as any other gender than their physical one. They just happen to, for whatever reason, like to wear their clothes. Generally speaking, this is men, because if a woman wear a man's clothes, she's usually not referred to as a crossdresser, unless she also paints on a mustache and all of those things. But yeah, basically tomboys and effeminate men are not, as a general rule, uh, transsexuals. They are men and women who have interests that are more typical of the other gender. For example, I have always liked computer games. When I was a little girl, I loved to play with Transformers. I bicycled around. I have almost all male friends. However, I was always a little girl, but I was a little tom girl. So yeah, gay. Of course, there are gay people who are transsexual, who are generally speaking um transsexual females. So somebody who has a male body but feel female, who are into men, are not gay. She is a female into men, so she is straight. And the other way around. So yeah, I think that a lot of people need to read up more about what being transsexual is. Now, you cannot blame somebody for not wanting to be with somebody who has another gender identity than their body. I can understand that you are not physically attracted, but to say that they can never be Gorean because they are not in the books, that I feel is becomes very wrong, and then you take Gore from being a lifestyle to being a fandom. Because basically it's not about uh, eliminating everything that is not in the books. It's about living true to yourself, living with honor, and living with dignity according to the Gorean beliefs and morality. And there's nothing in them that says that somebody who has a different gender identity or have a different true nature cannot be Gorean. So yeah. Also, I have to say, try not to be a hypocrite. If you're saying that somebody who is transsexual cannot be Gorean because it's not in the books, why the fuck are you on a computer? Because really, computers, they are specifically said in the Gore books to be bad. This type of technology is bad. So if you are going to say that if it's not in the Gore books, you should not do it, you should not accept it if you're a Gorean, then get your ass off your computer, get rid of all technology in your home, then you can say that. If not, then you're just a hypocrite. So yeah. So this free woman do accept people who are transsexual, gay, or for that matter, females who are dominant and males who are submissive within the Gorean lifestyle. Those will not be the norm, they will not be the majority. That's not the point. The point is to live by your own true inner nature and live by that in honor. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day and blessed be.